Well, I guess you got to understand from our perspective, everything's about a relationship with the drivers. And what we began to see when we looked at it from a small carrier point of view was, okay, I see drivers being recruited at a high percentage cents per mile, if that's how they're paid, with a low percentage cents per mile. Both of those companies need trucks. So first thing we got out of the way was it can't be all about the money. It has to be about culture, something else. So then we looked inward into our own company, and we began to see kind of almost like a third model. A third of our drivers are there. They're going to be there. We couldn't run them off if we wanted to. Second, third, good folks, they're going to be there. And then the other third were the ones that we saw the swerve in the turnover. So it kind of became a vision for us to see how can we move the bottom third of our driver pool that's turning over. How can we get them in the next tier up there? And we've seen that it's a relationship thing that seems to move them if we can. What can we teach them about our culture? What can we help them to grow as a person? Those type of things. How can we change that more than just go, okay, we've got 2/3 of our driver pool is doing really well, 1/3's not, so just throw more money at them. Mm-hmm. And so what are the things that we can do that will help them to feel like they're a part of our organization that maybe doesn't cost us as much as some of the other things that we automatically assume everything's about money.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we've seen that no matter what happens in our company, if they're mad about different things, they will leave and say, "Oh, I ain't got no money," and it may be something totally different. Well, as the small carrier, the thing we realize, it's all about the relationship. We've said that a lot, but it's in the sense of what are the small things we can do. A lot of our drivers, they want to talk to somebody. A lot of our technology is good to pass information back and forth, but not necessarily so good to communicate with. And they want to hear that voice. And so one of the things that we did, in building that relationship with the driver, what I understand in our company is that folks in the office have no time, and the person behind the wheel has a lot of time. So the very last thing that I say to a driver before he leaves is what he's going to think, what he or she's going to think on all day long. Yeah. So in our people, when we communicate to them, are we being positive? What are the things that we're telling them on the road? We don't want to get things up, folks upset with us or whatever that may be, or they need to be trained if something happens. So we're really diligent about how are we talking to them while they're out? What are they thinking about? And those things, when it goes the same way, if we pick up the telephone and call and say, we're still small enough, we know their kids, their birthdays, what they're doing for the weekend, who's graduating, we pick that up and say, hey, how's that going for you? They're going to remember that for the rest of the trip as well. And we don't want a driver in a vehicle, that just got an argument with their spouse, and because their problems become our problems,
right?
In that situation. So what can we do to help them have a better, what are some of the things that we can put in place? Can we just talk with them, offer them something so that that they know they have people that they can talk to and different things, and be able just to have that quality of life while they're on the road.
Okay.
I think the vision for us is to work to bring younger folks into the industry. And I truly believe that we're going to have to adapt some of the things that we do. Because when we think about generationally, I grew up in the transportation industry with the tough, gruff old guys that would come in and no telling what they were going to tell you, but then they would get the truck and go do their job, and it didn't matter. And we see those guys being phased out as they're older and they're retiring, and the younger group that's coming on. What are some of the issues that are important to them? One of the things that we look at is, I don't want to wait until someone's 23, 25 to get them in a truck. They already have something else going on. So what can we do to get some of the younger folks even excited to be involved? Is there somewhere we can bring them in the company? Can we go to the schools, career fairs, those kind of things, to say, hey, have you considered this career? Because maybe a lot of young folks don't realize the money there is to be made. Yeah. And the technology that we have in the truck, some of the things that they would enjoy, they may like it and not even have the opportunity to know that. Yeah. And so how can we use the technology, and how can we use things to help bring the younger generation into the industry and help them to, adapt to the vision that, this could be a good life.